Hello, friends. Thanks for joining me today. I've been considering a fundamental question this week. Are we living the life we truly want, or the one we think we should have? This has led me to reflect on a choice we all make, whether we realize it or not: the balance between security and freedom. It's a dilemma I've personally grappled with, and I suspect many of you have as well. It's a question of what we're willing to give up for a sense of stability, and what we're willing to risk for the sake of autonomy. This led me to a rather unexpected analogy, actually: the concept of zoos. Let's explore that for a moment. Consider the animals within a zoo. They're provided with sustenance, veterinary care, and protection. Often, they experience a longer lifespan than they would in their natural habitat. There's a clear sense of comfort and stability. However, this comes with a price. Their autonomy is relinquished. They are confined, unable to engage in natural behaviors like hunting or exploration. I recently watched a documentary illustrating the high level of care these animals receive. Yet I couldn't help but wonder about the cost of that security. Do they miss the inherent freedom of their wild counterparts? The ability to navigate their own existence? Think about the daily life of an animal in the wild versus in a zoo. In the wild, they face constant challenges: finding food, evading predators, dealing with unpredictable weather. They have to rely on their instincts and adaptability. In a zoo, those challenges are largely removed. They don't have to hunt. They don't have to worry about getting eaten. They are living in a controlled, predictable environment. It's a bit like living in a bubble, isn't it? And it's not just about physical freedom. It's about mental and emotional freedom too. In the wild, animals have to make decisions, solve problems, and adapt to changing circumstances. This constant mental stimulation keeps them sharp and engaged. In a zoo, much of that is taken away. They're living in a more passive existence, where their needs are met without much effort on their part. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are they missing out on? What are we missing out on when we choose security over freedom? This reminds me of something else. Freedom isn't free. It always comes with expectations or responsibilities attached to it. When we give up our freedom for security or comfort, we often lose control over certain aspects of our lives in return. For example, if someone offers you a free place to stay for a while, it sounds great at first: no rent or bills. But there will likely be rules you're expected to follow while you're living there. Perhaps you need to clean up after yourself or respect quiet hours. Maybe you need to align with their values or routines while under their roof. Even when there's no monetary cost involved, there's still an exchange happening, a trade-off between the autonomy and security. And this principle scales up. Whether it's relying on governments for safety or corporations for convenience, giving up freedom often means accepting someone else's control over our choices. This prompts a question: do we, in our own lives, create similar constructs? While not literal cages, we often establish patterns of security that may limit our freedom: a stable career with benefits, but perhaps lacking creative fulfillment; a comfortable relationship, yet potentially devoid of invigorating spontaneity; or even rigid routines we adhere to, or over-reliance on technological comforts. We find ourselves choosing between the predictable security of a controlled environment and the inherent uncertainty of a more liberated existence. I think often it's not a black and white choice. There are shades of gray. We may choose a secure base from which we can then explore further freedoms, a foundation that allows us room to take risks later on. For instance, I've had friends who chose stable corporate jobs to pay off student debt, knowing it wasn't their ultimate passion. They saw it as a temporary trade-off for future freedom. And here's something I find particularly interesting. Remember when we were kids, how we couldn't wait to grow up and make our own decisions? We dreamed of leaving home and carving our own paths, being completely independent. Yet somewhere along the line, many adults seem perfectly content handing over control to employers dictating rules, communities shaping directions, relationships defining identities, all trading independence back into belonging and security, paradoxically. Consider this: what are we exchanging for security? Is that exchange aligned with our core values? And perhaps most importantly, are we consciously making these choices? Or are they being made for us by default? Sometimes, the allure of security blinds us to the freedoms we're giving up. We might not even notice how much control we've relinquished until it's too late. It's like a slow erosion, small compromises here and there, until one day we wake up and realize our lives are no longer our own. The job we took just for now becomes a career we're stuck in. The routines we created for comfort become walls that keep us from trying new things. The safety net we built becomes a web that traps us. But here's the thing. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Security and freedom aren't mutually exclusive. It's about finding a balance that works for us, a balance that reflects our values and priorities. Maybe we choose a stable foundation but leave room for exploration. Maybe we take calculated risks that align with our long-term goals. Or maybe we embrace uncertainty fully, trusting that growth will come from the challenges we face. And let's not forget, freedom itself comes with responsibilities. True freedom isn't about doing whatever we want without consequences. It's about owning our choices and being accountable for them. It's about understanding that every decision has trade-offs and being willing to live with those trade-offs. For example, if you decide to leave a secure job to pursue your passion, you might have to deal with financial instability or uncertainty about the future, but in exchange, you gain the freedom to do work that truly fulfills you. On the other hand, if you choose the stability of a corporate career, you might sacrifice some creative freedom, but you gain financial security and a clear path forward. Neither choice is inherently right or wrong. It depends on what matters most to you. This brings me back to the idea of awareness. Are we aware of the trade-offs we're making? Are we actively choosing our paths? Or are we letting circumstances choose for us? It's easy to fall into patterns without questioning them, to stay in a job, relationship, or routine simply because it feels safe. But safety shouldn't come at the expense of living authentically. So I'll leave you with this. What does true freedom and security mean to you? How can we balance both to live a stable and fulfilling life? I encourage you to reflect on these questions and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's start a conversation about what it means to live intentionally, to make conscious choices about how we navigate this delicate balance between security and freedom. Thank you for joining me today. Remember that nature can teach us a lot about living a good life. Until next time, stay curious.